Hi, this is Danielle Channels Planets doing Archetypal Astrology for April 8th into April 9th, 2026. And I just gotta say that before any kind of new moon, usually we can start to feel the energy before that new moon even comes in. A week in advance, we'll start to feel some of the changes. And right now, that is absolutely what's going on. Today, April 8th, we have the moon that has entered Capricorn in a strong square. Strong squares. Squares are tension, growth, where two archetypal principles meet and they have a difficult time joining forces, but it's not a bad thing. They are the aspects of individuation. And the moon is already talking to the planets that are up here, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Mercury, that are going to be involved in the new moon on April 17th. So we're getting kind of a taste already of what this is all about. And while there can be, with the moon, it's our emotions, it's our inner subjective reality, there can be irritability, there can be some frustration, there can be a bit of, all the things that can plague the moon around change and transition, which can involve, self-doubt, insecurity. But at the same time, the moon is also opposite Jupiter. So, as it moves through April 8th, in the evening into April 10th, it's getting from Jupiter, which can be excess, it can be inflation, it can be a feeling of success, but it can also be a feeling of kind of overdoing it. And so I think a good thing right now for everyone to lean into is just kind of slowing down. I think a lot of people might say that the Aries season is bringing a lot of fieriness, but I might argue and say that Mars in a sextile to Uranus is actually what might be amping everybody up. Those two archetypal principles working together are absolutely going to create some restlessness and, strong urges, instinctual drives to break free and to liberate oneself. And it's just a beautiful, massively creative energy. Uranus is creativity, it's individuation, it's freedom, breaking outside of the box, and surprises. And it's about to ingress into a new sign, and any time a planet does that, it kind of becomes even more potent. It becomes even more pronounced. And at what's going on right now in the sky, in a sextile to Mars. Mars is our drive and our passion and our will and our fortitude, to act on something that we believe in and to create something in the world. And it's our yang energy. And so for Uranus to be in a sextile to Mars right now for all of us is definitely going to be quite a bit of a boost to our libidos, I might say, and in terms of whatever kind of drag you've maybe had going on in your life, or whatever eclipse season brought up for you in March. Things can really start to move forward now in April. However, not as fast as maybe that Mars Uranus would like to, due to the fact that Saturn is very close by as well. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that can create frustration and delays. And Mars isn't necessarily excited about that. I mean, there's a lot of excitability ramping up with Uranus Mars, but then Mars, it needs to linger and hang out here throughout the rest of April as it moves past Neptune, which is going to diffuse it. It's going to, dissolve it a bit. It's going to cause Mars to maybe be a little bit confused around its direction at times, or maybe even lack direction in terms of where it's going. But it will also supply Mars with a vision and with a new vision, because we're really seeing, what this ingress into Aries is all about with this new moon. Now that Saturn's there, now that Neptune's in Aries, they were there last summer, but then they retrograded. And so now they're really in Aries, and this new moon is kind of like bringing the personal planets, the sun, Mars, moon, Mercury next week, or in 10 days really, to really show us kind of what is the new image, what is the new vision, what is the new spirituality, what is the new vision that's taking us forward into our lives. And so we have that propulsion that's already going on. However, there can be, expressions of Neptune that are not helpful, such as getting a little lost in the sauce, daydreaming a little bit too much, being a little bit too much of an idealist, or adhering to principles that might be too idealistic. And so Mars is going to run right into Saturn then. And so it's it's already in that conjunction. It's already warring, itself between these two principles of imagination and the new vision and what I want to create and, all these, things that are going on. And then with Saturn, Saturn is going to ask us to slow down and be realistic and really put in the hard effort and the discipline that it's going to take tangibly to face material, hard reality to make things work, to actually manifest it in reality. And that's what is so great about this Saturn-Neptune transit, is that it's not just a vision. Saturn is also the materializer. It's cold, hard reality. And so it's actually going to help us turn our visions into a reality. Mars can be slowed down in that process by Saturn, but it is actually helpful and necessary to help Mars, have some kind of container where, if it was just Mars-Uranus going on here, Uranus sextile to Mars, it might be almost too impulsive or too rash. It might burn out really fast. As quick as Mars can come, it can go. But by slowing it down and having it pass over Saturn throughout April, we're going to have the ability to kind of temper it and, heat the water up slowly and bring it to boil and then let it simmer for a while the soup's cooking, and Saturn's the pot and it's the lid and Mars is the fire, and, it's all going to be a great stew, and it's going to steam and it's going to boil and it's going to cook, but it could take all day, all month. It could take a while with Saturn. So that's kind of what we're looking at now. And the cool thing about, April 8th and April 9th is that Mercury is now forming a conjunction. It's definitely in conjunction with Mars. It's in a conjunction with Neptune. And as, we go throughout April into the new moon of April 17th, it's going to become even more pronounced. And so Mercury is the principle of communication and ideas and curiosity in our thinking mind. And so now we're going to start getting that amped up as well. There's going to be a lot of things to communicate, or, it's going to head into the sextile with Uranus, and which is going to bring a lot of creative ideas and creative energy. Now's a really good time to take note, write things down, record your dreams, really explore them, become very clear about intentions moving forward. At the same time, recognize that, we might be straddling with Mercury, Mars, a lot of restlessness and a lot of thinking and a lot of impulsivity, a lot of creativity. And there could be roadblocks, barriers, and things that come up around our responsibilities that are helpful to slow us down, to helping us have some kind of structure, a daily rhythm, so that we don't get too inflated. And April 8th, 9th, 10th, with the moon in it will go into a T-square with the Sun and Jupiter. That's a lot of opportunity for inflation, for us to get a little bit carried away by excess, to overdo it in terms of shopping or in terms of just all the ideas that are coming up. And it feels like a lot right now. And so this is where we want to be friends with Saturn and lean into it and not forget that, despite all the fieriness, despite the Uranian, despite the Mars energy that's going on, Saturn is very present throughout April in this stellium that's occurring. And so that cannot be ignored. And I think the moon today in Capricorn is a little bit of a reminder of hey, this is not a one and done deal. This is something that is going to, we're carving out the cornerstone right now, 2026, upon which something for years will be built. With Saturn and Aries, it's going to be there for several years. Neptune's going to be there for way longer, way over a decade. So this vision that we're implementing and where this is all meant to go, really big picture stuff here. However, the seed is meant to come to a blossoming and this spring. So think about, heating up the soup and planting the seed and watering a bit and getting the seedlings to start sprouting. And that's what this is about. We don't want to get too excited for what it's going to be because there could still be room for failure, for disappointment. Some of the seedlings might not germinate. Some of them might not come to fruition. One of them definitely could. But we have to have a realistic expectation around our effort and pacing with the changes that are going on. But I do have to say, as one final note on the astrology of right now, is that wow, the creativity, the change, the new chapter is definitely here. Pluto, the archetype of transformation, death, and rebirth, and sextile to Saturn and Neptune, while Uranus is also in a sextile to Neptune. That's all of the outer planets talking. In moments like these, I mean, this is just a completely new way of being that's trying to emerge in our lives. And so it does need time. These things move slowly. But right now, and for the rest of April, I think we're going to start getting a lot of clarity on how this is going to show up in our personal lives. So stay tuned to my channel for more updates, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Bye-bye.